In the mid-1800s, Lagos was a jewel on the West African coast, a small but powerful kingdom built on trade, courage, and the tide of the Atlantic. Canoes filled the lagoon, merchants bargained in open markets, and the Oba's palace stood proudly at the center of it all. But while the people thrived, the city's wealth still depended on the transatlantic slave trade, a practice Britain had already outlawed. This difference in vision would soon spark a conflict that changed Lagos forever. At the time, Oba Kosoko sat on the throne, a strong, ambitious ruler with a fierce grip on his kingdom. Yet not everyone agreed with his rule. His cousin, Akitoye, believed that Lagos could survive without the slave trade and wanted friendship with foreign powers. But Kosoko saw that as weakness. The two clashed bitterly before the chiefs of Lagos. In a burst of anger, Kosoko banished Akitoye from the city, an act that would divide not only a royal family but an entire kingdom. Far away in Britain, Queen Victoria had been watching the African coast closely. Reports from her envoys spoke of Lagos as a thriving port, still trading in human lives. Determined to end it, she sent Consul John Beecroft to deliver a royal message to Oba Kosoko, a letter demanding that he abolish the slave trade and open Lagos to legitimate commerce. Beecroft set sail across the ocean with the Queen's seal and a warning: obey or face the consequences. When Beecroft arrived, the lagoon was calm but tense. He presented the Queen's letter before the Oba and his council, speaking of peace, trade, and cooperation. But Kosoko's pride was unshaken. He declared that Lagos would never bow to a foreign queen, nor allow outsiders to dictate its destiny. Beecroft left empty-handed, humiliated but resolute. When news of Kosoko's defiance reached London, Queen Victoria was furious. She saw his rejection not only as disobedience, but as an insult to the British crown. Meanwhile, Akitoye, still in exile, gathered loyal followers determined to reclaim the throne. He launched a desperate attack on Lagos, hoping to overthrow Kosoko. But Kosoko's forces were fierce. The battle was short and bloody. Akitoye's men were crushed, and he barely escaped with his life. Broken and desperate, he knew he needed greater power to defeat his cousin, and so he turned to the only force strong enough to challenge the throne of Lagos, the British Empire. Akitoye sailed to meet the British at their outpost, pleading for help. He promised that if the British restored him to power, he would abolish the slave trade and open Lagos to British merchants. The offer was perfect for Britain's ambitions. Beecroft agreed, and plans were set in motion. The Queen had been waiting for an excuse, and now she had one. The Royal Navy prepared to sail. Lagos was about to meet the full might of an empire. On December 26, 1851, the calm waters of the Lagos Lagoon broke with thunder. 5 British warships, HMS Samson, HMS Bloodhound, HMS Teaser, HMS Philomel, and HMS Harlequin, appeared on the horizon. Their black smoke filled the sky as they anchored, cannons ready. For the first time, the people of Lagos saw the power of a global empire at their doorstep. The message was clear: surrender or burn. At dawn, the bombardment began. The British guns unleashed fire and smoke, pounding the city for 2 days. Lagos warriors fought back bravely with muskets and courage, but they were no match for the cannons of the Royal Navy. Explosions shook the shore, houses burned, families fled, and the once vibrant city was turned to ruins. By the end of the battle, over 150 Lagosians were dead, and Kosoko's palace lay in ashes. Defeated and outnumbered, the proud Oba fled Lagos by canoe, disappearing into exile. In the aftermath, the British reinstated Akitoye as king. He was grateful, but his throne now came with conditions. He signed the Treaty of 1852, officially abolishing the slave trade and placing Lagos under British protection. But everyone knew what that really meant. The kingdom's independence had begun to fade, one treaty at a time. A decade later, Britain returned with another demand. This time, it was Akitoye's son, Oba Dosunmu, who faced the crown's pressure. British officers presented him with a treaty of cession, declaring that Lagos would become a colony of Queen Victoria. With warships still looming in the lagoon, Dosunmu had no choice. He signed the document, and with a stroke of a pen, Lagos became the first British colony in Nigeria. The conquest of Lagos marked the dawn of British colonialism in Nigeria. What began as a royal family feud ended in the loss of a kingdom's freedom. From that moment, Lagos became the gateway to British expansion across West Africa. And while Queen Victoria's empire grew stronger, the people of Lagos would spend generations rebuilding what was lost. Today, Lagos stands as one of Africa's largest and most powerful cities, a symbol of resilience, trade, and transformation. But beneath the skyscrapers and modern streets lies a story that began with betrayal, ambition, and empire. A story of two cousins, a queen's wrath, and a city that refused to bow quietly to history.
Did you know? Victoria Island was once completely surrounded by water, a true island, until land reclamation projects joined it with Lagos Island and Lekki. Even today, its canals and lagoons still whisper stories of the island it once was. Following the turbulent years of conflict and shifting power, British influence became firmly rooted along the Lagos coast. During this period, a small stretch of land separated by creeks and lagoons was named Victoria Island, a tribute to Queen Victoria, whose reign symbolized the era of British expansion. At the time, Victoria Island was little more than a quiet, marshy settlement surrounded by water. Yet even then, its strategic location near the harbor made it a valuable site for trade and administration. As colonial presence grew, so did the island's importance, slowly transforming from a remote outpost into the nucleus of Lagos's modern identity. Today, Victoria Island stands as one of Africa's most vibrant urban centers, filled with energy, ambition, and innovation. Where canoes once glided through the calm waters, highways and bridges now link the island to the mainland, carrying millions of people every day. The skyline gleams with corporate towers, luxury hotels, and creative spaces, reflecting both progress and perseverance. Yet beneath the glass and concrete lies a deep history, a reminder that Lagos has risen from the tides of struggle to become a beacon of strength and opportunity. This is the story of Lagos, from empire to independence, from resistance to renaissance, forever evolving, forever alive.